This is just a quick video about adding a little plastic shelf out there to hold that Kreg miter gauge up on my saw when you want to cut over 12 inches wide. I had this piece of plastic laying around probably for over 20 years now, and it was just the perfect size for what I wanted to do. And there you can see I just want to put a little shelf out front there just to hold the weight of that that extrusion on the miter gauge from twisting anything when you go to cut wide. It is 3/4 of an inch, and I'm not quite sure what kind of plastic it is. I picked it up at a surplus center years ago, but I figured I'd use it for this. Started by cutting a couple radiuses on the corner because it was sticking out front there, and you didn't want to bang into it and hit a sharp corner. And just using that Harbor Freight jigsaw that I bought quite a while ago, and thing's been really a great little saw. The only trouble here is I'm just using a blade that's meant to cut 1/4 inch thick and under wood, and it's giving it a little bit of a problem. But it did get through it and did a pretty good job. And then it's just a matter of going over to the disc sander there and just cleaning up the surface and making sure it's perfectly flat and round. Then I just took a 1/8 inch round over bit on my router, and I went around both the top and the bottom of it, just so there'd be no sharp corners or anything that you could catch yourself on or cut yourself on. And all the woodworking bits really work good with the plastic. You can see that's just a standard wood router bit, so it worked good there. Then next thing, I tried to peel the paper off, and that didn't come off easy because when I bought it 20 years ago, it was old then, so I don't know how old it is, but you can see that glue's stuck pretty good. So I just tore off enough to give me access so I could see where I wanted to mark to route out a section in the front of it. And there you can see I have to route out a little rabbet out of the bottom there, just so it'll clear that angle for the fence mounting bracket there in the front. That stuck up quite a bit, so I just only had about 1/8 of an inch material left when I got done, and I had to route it out about 1/4 of an inch deep. And should have turned on my dust collector, but I didn't want the plastic in the dust collector, so I just let it spit out there. So there it is, a couple seconds later, all routed out. You can see how that's made to clear that angle right there. Just kind of sitting it in place there now to see how it's going to be, and looks like it's going to work out good. And I never use the fence on that side of the saw, so it won't be in the way of anything. So then I marked out some mounting holes that I was going to put into that top rail of the that tubing for the fence there. And just the first thing I had to do was just counterbore a couple of holes. And again, here I just used the old wood-borne Forstner bits, and they drilled the plastic just the same as they would drill in wood. Now you could use plywood, or you could use anything to make something like this. It doesn't have to be plastic. I just used the plastic because I had the piece, that seemed to be the perfect size laying around, and I figured I've been staring at it long enough, so got the counterbores in, and then I drilled the hole in the center and went back and just put a little bit of a countersink in there so there'd be no sharp edges to catch on. And there you can see how the bolt head just drops down in there, and that'll mount to the top of the fence rail there. Then I spent the next hour of my life scraping paper off this piece of plastic. It was quite a monster to get it all off, but at least it was quiet and didn't keep my wife up. So it finally did come off, and when I was done, it had left like a sticky residue on it. So I just got out the Goo Gone, and that stuff will take off any kind of glue or sticky stuff usually, and won't hurt the plastic. So just went over it with that, and I shined it right up. And I've had good luck with that Goo Gone removing any kind of like a soft sticky adhesive. And I needed a spacer to space it up even level with the tabletop there, so I had a piece of 1/4 of an inch thick plastic that I decided to use for that to keep it all clear. And I just took that and took it over, and it cuts on the saw real nice. And luckily this stuff was quite a bit newer, and the backing paper actually came off, or the protective coating paper actually came off nice. So then I decided to glue the two pieces together, and I just set the that spacer on the saw there where I wanted to mount it, and then I just put a little bit of super glue in between there and the other one, and set that other bigger piece of plastic on top of it, and then just put a couple clamps on it to let the super glue set up for a couple of minutes. Now I'm gonna drill and tap some holes in there, and I didn't mind it being mounted solidly to this side of the fence, because I never actually cut to this side of the blade with that rip fence, so it really won't be in my way. And you can actually see there it clears that other stop that I had made also, so pretty much it really doesn't block much, and it's easy to reach under and get to the switch and stuff, so it's not really in my way at all. So now I got it located exactly where I wanted, and I drilled through that second piece of plastic now, just using the clearance holes in that top piece to locate the holes. And then I also dimpled down in the metal rail a little bit with a drill bit to use that as a pilot location for my tap drill. And now I'm just going to remove that so I can drill the and tap the piece, and you can see it's really just a simple plastic shelf there. Nothing fancy, easy to build. And so the next thing I'm doing is, I guess it's number 7 drill that you use for the tap drill on a 1/4-20 tap. So I'm going to just drill out those 4 locations that I dimpled when I drilled those other holes, and just drill them, and then go back and put a 1/4-20 thread in each one with a tap. Now, for when I tap, I always take a block of wood and just drill a hole clearance for the tap, so that you can just hold it on there, and you can get that the tap is going straight in, because I've had times without it where I can actually get them skewed in one direction or another, and it can make assembly tough. So just you take your time when you're tapping a hole like this. You don't want to break a tap or anything, and they can snap fairly easy if they hang up or anything. So I just go back and forth until I get through, and then just take my time. So there's the first thread in there, and you can see fits the bolt perfectly. Now it's just a matter of doing the other 3 to match. So now it's time to assemble it, and you can see the bolts thread right in, and the head set down in that countersink. Now to start out with, I know that it's not perfectly level. It's actually lower than the tabletop, and on the that far end there, it's only a couple thousandths lower than the tabletop, but on the near end, it's even a little bit more off. That rail seems to be tapered a little bit or something. I'm just going to start by tightening it down and getting a good idea of exactly what my starting point is here. And then I'm going to start shimming it, and I've got this shim material that I use all the time. It's started out as .062 thick. It's 1/16 of an inch shim material, but it's actually 62 layers of .001 shims that are just attached to each other like that, so you can peel off in 1/1000th increments. So I'm just peeling off a piece to start with, to play with, and you can see it's really easy to cut with a scissor and stuff like that. So I use it for setting up machine tools and stuff like that, but I figured it would work here too, just to figure out exactly what I need. And you can see it had to be shimmed a little more on the outside than the inside to get it level there, because everything was skewed just a little bit. And this side here actually needed a lot more. And I started out playing with these shims, and by the time I got done, I had some precision 10,000ths thick washers that I wound up putting under those bolt holes to get everything all lined up. So you can see, just fiddling around with this to get a try to get a perfect alignment actually took the most time of anything. And eventually I did get it pretty much perfect there. You can see it's right in line with the table, and it's actually just perfectly level with it. So it did come out nice in the end. So there you can see there's that miter gauge, and before I couldn't pull it off the table. I could only cut about 12 inches wide, and the aluminum extrusion would hang down and just make it twist and cause problems for me, and it just didn't work the way I wanted it to. So that's why I put this little shelf out there, and you can see the miter gauge does stick out there, and you can see I got 21. Actually I get about 23 inches total that I can cut with that. You can see there's more room to pull it back, but it does support it nice, and there you can see I think that's about a 21 inch wide piece, or 22 inch wide piece right there that I just cut, and it holds everything up, keeps it from twisting, and it'll work with the miter gauge with the extrusion on, or with the extrusion off, or with any kind of miter gauge. So I think it's really a great addition. It was worth spending a little bit of time making for the saw. Now, if you saw the video about the miter gauge, I had a problem with a lot of slop in the gauge, and the holes not properly aligning up, and I did finally contact Kreg, and they watched the video, and they said that's not right, there's something machined wrong there, so they're actually sending out new parts to fix it. So I'll do an update video as soon as I get that back, get the new parts and see how they work. So anyhow, this is just one of those ideas I thought might be useful to others, because anybody with this saw is going to have the same problem, so thought I'd share it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.